Folks, welcome back to the Jake Feinberg Show. Joined today by a friend of the program. I spoke to him over the high holidays, Christmas holidays, 2013, and spent a lot of time talking about Tony Williams, the famous phone call that Tony called Allan one time, and
yeah.
Okay.
I forgot I told you that.
That's such a, I mean, anyway, Allan, welcome back to the show, man.
Oh, thanks. I enjoyed that last conversation very much, man. It was great.
It went all over the place, man. I wanted to ask you about Steve Gadd. Did you have a relationship with Steve at all? Did you know Steve?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because he, you know, when I had him on live radio a couple weeks back, I
heard a bit of it.
Yeah, I got to get you a level 1 access pass so you can access. I'm sorry, the musicians I will get you a free access pass to that because it's such a heavy interview. And but when I'm not sure in the excerpt, there was one point where he's going through a litany of drummers that came before him, and you were one of them. It was really freaking cool. It was awesome. So I just wanted to.
Great.
Yeah, I'll get you a pad. But anyway, what is tell me about when you first met Steve and what's special about Steve Gadd?
Are you asking me now what's special about?
Yeah. Talk about the brotherhood that exists.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, I can't help remembering that he was just a real, clean cut, sweet as can be, sincere kid from Rochester, you know, or it could have been the Midwest or something.
No, it was Rochester.
Yeah. No, I know that.
Yeah,
but it could have been.
Yeah, it could have been anywhere.
A hayseed. I almost want to use the word hayseed, you know, because he was like, wow, man, how do you get that sound? You know, how do you get the? Because he was coming from jazz, and I was into the pop thing, and I was trying to make as much money as I could in the studio, so you'd have to stay up on what the latest tuning of the drums, what the drums should sound like, and I remember he was asking me. He came to a session that I was playing, and he said, "How do you get the toms to have that sound?" You know, and then jump cut to I don't know what. And I'm saying this with absolutely pure love. I don't know what happened to him. I think it was all the wrong people he decided to hang out with who said, hey, just try this, man. You're going to feel great. You're going to get all kinds of energy from this. Take a hit on this, you know?
Right.
And they took him, they took him down. He almost didn't come back from where he was, you know? You know that, right?
Well, I mean, I just found it powerful that I had the courage to ask him on live radio about if he was happy to be alive, and how courageous it was for him to speak so eloquently about learning how to be grateful. It takes hard work to be grateful, you know, and you guys, you know, whereas we're growing up in this society now where it's so materialism has crept in so much that, you know, you know, if you make a lot of money, then you must be a really successful person, and you must really know everything about life and really sophisticated, which is just total bullshit. But that is essentially what my generation and younger generations are. Whereas with you guys, I mean, you in particular got into a system, into a bureaucracy, and started to thrive in it. But the truth is that you guys had just the accolades of being able to cut a record, that individual, knowing this was your lineage, and it was just so. To me, that's a very powerful thing. You could really hang your hat on something, and I just think that my larger, you know, and just the idea that he was able to talk about trying to appreciate that. But I know, man, I could hear it in his voice, and I talked to him since then. Actually, I could hear it in his voice. I mean, it took his God to bring him back, because I mean it was hard. You get that addicted to,
yeah. I heard some, what I heard in the interview is I heard a lot of, I heard a lot of the pain, and it was kind of getting in the way of him expressing himself. He, I don't mean that in any derogatory kind of way. It's just,
I really appreciate it. I like hearing it.
Couldn't put the words together. He was saying like a lot of but you could, through all those you could hear what he was trying to say.
Well, no one's ever asked him that. I mean, no one's ever been able, he was thinking,
right.
It was sort of like, let's just cut to the, and I think that he enjoyed that, and
I bet he did.
Help him, get some of that stuff off his chest. But let me ask you, so what have you been up to lately? I mean, like what kind of, aside from selling the
well, what have I been?
Like what kind of sessions have you been working on?
I've been. I just wanted to finish with Steve.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
About Steve. He is the sweetest. He is just the sweetest guy, and he's gotten a gift from the gods. He just he's an amazing player of the instrument. He's a great player, and he's really maybe the most famous drummer ever. I think he might be the most famous drummer.
Well, the other problem is that he like when I talk to him, he's like, Jake, the picture you put up with my interview, that's not me. There's another Steve Gadd, who was a studio drummer, played in Charlie, which was a rock band, which you must know. And his name is Steve Gadd, LA studio cat, and there's a picture of him, and I put it up there from a sleeve, and of course it looks nothing like Steve Gadd, but I could not believe that there was another studio Gadd on the West Coast. Maybe your buddy Schaefer knows that cat. Anyway, he didn't have much of a career, but that is eerie to me that there's another
wow.
Gadd. Yeah, man.
I never heard that.
Schwartzberg. There's a lot of stuff you haven't heard.
He's just a great. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Man. I mean, more than anything, and just. I think a lot of kids, those are their roots, they may not have been Steve, well, of course, Steve's roots are different, but, how every generation, the roots change.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So, people start with Steve, now kids start with Steve Gadd, and all that, and chops and stuff like that.
Do you think, go ahead, continue, please.
No, that's it. I just want to express my love for him. He's just because he's such a great guy. He's such a beautiful guy, and he'll never again leave his feet will never leave the ground again the way they did years ago when he was when he was battling his demons and stuff.
That's right.
But he's totally cool now.
I think actually it's given him just to finish up. I think it's just given him a new. I mean, you talk about these epiphanies. You mentioned it in our first interview, but it's like I think Gadd, his appreciation for life is very heightened now, and I think so it just you get those wake up calls and you want to take advantage. But anyway, as we proceed,
he's got he loves his family, he loves his wife Carol, and
his kids.
You never know, but I think they're solid as a rock. Long-term marriage. Carol, his wife, was at my wedding 43 years ago. His wife was at my wedding with
really weird, man. That's so
time.
Weird.
Jimmy Maylan at the back.
Oh man, we talked about Maylan a lot in the first interview too. That guy was on. He was in some obscure Latin rock band. How did bands like that even get an opportunity to get on a label like that? There was like a Rooster Head. You weren't in the band, but I mean, Malian these obscure bands, and they cut a record. I mean, the industry, how did it even work? How did that work? You know, because where you get down now to basically, you know, so streamlined, you know, maybe 8 artists. I don't know. There just seemed to be a lot of more niches and a lot more fluidity within the industry. And then even being able to hear the radio from Maine all the way to San Diego. There were all these, you know, you could hear the same, I don't know. I mean, those obscure eccentric.
Well, yeah. Are you saying I'm just trying to just like focus on what you're saying.
I'm sorry. No, what I'm trying to say is the eccentric like music that would the improvisational music that was being made in the early 70s. That you know,
yeah.
How is there a budget for that? You know, like
how is there?
Because now it's only about what's going to sell. But it's
about what?
It's only about what's going to sell a lot. It's become
yeah.
very
How is there ever?
it's become very homogenized.
Miracle.
So
back at it.
Go ahead.
There's no now. Right now, you can't. Right now, poor bands you can't get anything happening. You can't get a label behind you unless you come to them with proven sales from your internet and your website. So you have to go out there and sell it for them and get your own PR done. And people already know you, and then they'll decide to back you. Nobody's taking a chance on anything.
Yeah.
Nobody's taking a chance on anything. They don't know what's happening. People, they don't know.
Schwartzberg, you are so on the pulse, man. Because I met this cat, and you know, I mean, he's been he's been at the top of, again. Clear Channel's also been. It's just a horrendous. I mean, the idea of freeform radio, man. Like the engineer that I work with consistently when I'm not doing live shows. Jim Brady was a DJ in Tucson from like 73 to 81, where you would get the you get the progressive British rock, you'd get, you know, maybe some Mahavishnu, you know, you get Return to, you'd get all in a half-hour span, you get the whole sides of the records, no breaks. People's ears were more open at that time, and to me, the shrinking of that sphere of consciousness, like that's consciousness, man. When you sat at the Village Gate or stood and watched Tony Williams every set of every night that Miles played at the Gate, that expanded you out. I mean, more. And you, as a human being, you can't ask for more than that, and you just don't get that experience today, and it's a shame because
you're right.
Because people did take chances back then. There was more trust, and people used their gut more, and it was a confluence of things. But nobody's out there doing that today. It's almost being stifled, you know.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know if I'm right or not, man, but you feel.
I know. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I don't know why things are the way they are. You know.
Well, that's not even important. I mean, the fact that we're just trying to talk about it and get it into the zeitgeist is the most important thing, you know?
Yeah, well, we're just identifying the state of the art, I guess, you know?
But you've seen it be deteriorating since the early 70s. Was there a comeback at all at a certain... I mean, I guess my point is, like, with your buddy Schaefer out in L.A., you know, he's out playing... Yeah. He likes playing live. He likes playing live gigs. But you just...
Yes, he does. He's playing with his own trio, with a trio actually that he formed with Abe Laboriel and
oh my God, are you kidding me?
Yeah, they have a trio. They have
Laboriel on bass. Holy cow!
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
But, you know, he's playing. Abe is playing electric, and they're playing jazz. You know, they're playing jazz.
Dude, Abe Laboriel is...
Abe is an amazing.
Who else is it was a piano?
I'm trying to think of the piano player. He's...
It's fine. But I guess, Allan, you...
One of the most in-demand piano players out there.
because I've gone out to Southern California. I've checked out the scene. It's definitely more laid back. If the scene was hipper, would you go out and play live more, or the scene just is because you talked about that magic just sort of, closing off. It's just so you were very glib about that whole thing about sort of the non-pretentious genius attitudes of guys like Dizzy and Bird, and then all of a sudden that whether it was just the assassinations and the race and the race baiting, there was a bitterness that crept in, especially because the music morphed into something that really it wasn't. And so you just don't play live because the scene's just not that hip, and there's just not a lot going on.
Well, you know what I'd like to do, Jack? I'd like to play live, which I think Steve would like to do also. But he's making concessions. Also, Steve Schaefer.
You're right.
I would like to play pure bebop. I would just like to play just pop, like Riverside Records and Blue Note Records, that kind of thing. And that doesn't mean not play any Horace Silver straight eighth kind of tunes. I like that too, all that stuff. But I just love, to me, it's like one day I just became an old man. I remember Sims telling me, we were just about to go on stage and we were talking, and he said something like, I don't get what they're playing today, what these guys are playing today. It just makes no sense to me. It's just like a bunch of notes or something.
Yeah.
And I said, boy, I never want to be like that. I never want to be like that. And then I found myself saying, you know what? I like certain kinds of music better than other kinds of music. I really do, and I like the older jazz better. I just think, I think like some of the, it's like it's not broken, don't fix it kind of thing. Like when you have odd tempos, odd meters.
Yeah.
And you look in the audience and you're playing, there's nobody tapping their foot. They can't possibly tap their foot to it. How could they relate to it if they can't even tap their foot to it? So, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
what are they
yeah,
tapping?
it's just, yeah.
Tapping their brains, It's like tapping their brain to it. And who's educated enough to know that every other bar is a 7/8 bar, and there, look at that acrobatic. Isn't that something? We negotiated that 7/8 bar, you can't even tell, except that nobody is liking it, How come nobody's reacting? And it's like, I don't know. So I think that jazz always should, and all kinds of music, all kinds of pop music, should always somehow be related to making the lay person feel good. Maybe even get them to get up from their chair and maybe dance, or.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just think that when you hear Miles records, old Miles Davis records, I mean, you could do the jitterbug you could do a Lindy to that, all that stuff, all that swing stuff. I mean, it's great. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be more blunt. I mean, I just don't think that, they haven't cut music out of schools. Music is still like the ability to access, but you just need to have money. So that minorities have been screwed out of music. So you don't have the black.
Oh, that's a whole. Yeah, that's a whole.
That to me is the the Latino populations, the Puerto Ricans, the all the Afro-Cuban guys who where music was an outlet, it was a way to make a living and survive. This. That's been stripped away because all of a sudden we're homogenizing our society and we're not representing who we really are as people. I think that's the whole point of my show. Is like 40 years ago we had already we've actually digressed, in quite a few ways. In that
you're right, Jake. People are not. They're not realizing it, and they're not writing about it enough and talking about it enough.
No, I don't think because nobody has that flexibility within their job to be a maverick. Really, I mean, if you're a maverick in any way, shape, or
That's
form,
right.
you get suspended for 3 weeks and paddled, and then you better be on. And then but then you get to a point where it's like the only way you can really be yourself is if you just have millions and millions and millions of dollars, and you can do whatever you want. As long as you're rich, you can be the biggest asshole, biggest fool in the world. But
Right.
I'm just saying in general is like that. So when I talk to a lot of the black musicians, they just say, listen, you take the instruments out of their hands, the kids start using, what came out of that was hand padding and poetry, rap, so rap comes out of it, But those kids, but you look at the lack of those like the roots of African rhythms, like as the farther and farther you get away from the source, really the harder and harder it is to keep that lineage together. And when I talked to Lenny White,
Right.
And he said a lot of cats don't. He thinks they don't go back far enough when they in their seeking. They might go back to the '90s or a little bit before, but that they don't go back far enough in his mind. A lot of the younger cats, they
Oh
don't.
yeah, well that's kind of like what I was saying about Steve. People's roots, young kids' roots begin with Steve. And nothing to take anything away from Steve. I'm happy for him, but Steve's roots go much deeper than that. And Steve's roots go back to Philly Joe Jones and all that stuff. And jazz and Max Roach and all that.
What was your what did you enjoy Roach's style? Did you get to hang with Max?
Say that again.
With Max Roach?
Say that again.
Max Roach, did you get to hang with Roach at all or play with him?
Well, yeah, I'll send you a picture of. I'm going to send you this picture of Max, Bernard Purdy,
Oh my God!
and Ginger Baker and me.
Wow!
Four of us.
Wow!
It was supposed to be a publication called Percussioner or something, or I forgot what the name of the magazine, but the story was written, and I was representing the studio guy. Max was the jazz guy, Ginger was the rock and roll guy, and Purdy was the R&B guy. And the cover was supposed to be a Mount Rushmore. They're going to do a version of like a painting of Rushmore, with our faces on it. And I want to send you this. I hung with Max for a little bit. I idolized him, man. The sound, he really was such a big influence on Philly Joe Jones. And, he was a master musician.
Those masters are not teaching their own people, though. That's the crazy thing. That's really.
Max was trying.
No, I'm not. I say now, like Juilliard. Their faculties like Ron Carter and Billy Hart, Eddie Henderson, all these.
Right.
How many of the students are black? I don't want to make it all about that, but like you said in our first interview, there's no white drummer that played like Elvin or Philly Joe or Mickey Roker. There's that that unbelievable visceral swing that and that is not present in the improvisational music of, if you want to call that, jazz. It's not there at all. It's a bunch of.
Dick, I'm so glad you brought this up because you had an interview. You did an interview with some drummer recently, not too long ago.
Maybe Keltner.
No, not Keltner.
Yeah.
It was a black drummer who said, "Man, I don't want to hear about black, white. What does it matter, man?" And it's. I hope I'm carrying a thread of what you just said.
Yeah.
But the guy that you interviewed was really bitching, and I thought maybe he was possibly referring to me because I know I said I know, not that I said I know in my heart that there's never been a white drummer that ever had, and you could ask anybody, ask Steve Schaefer, asked any drummer.
Hold on, I mean, hold on a second. I'm wait, Allan. Allan, I really want to get this straight. Someone criticized you for saying something. I'm trying to get the context of this.
I read something in one of your interviews.
Right.
I believe it was one of your interviews. I'm not sure. I don't think it was. I don't think it was.
Did you read?
I think it was. It was a transcript of your interview. Your interview is a transcript, right? No.
Yeah, exactly. I transcript a lot of interviews, and
yeah.
there was an explosive one that I did, but I don't remember. What were you? It had nothing to do. It was all
nothing to do with my name was not mentioned at all. But it just reminded. I thought maybe it was the kind of thing that I said that somebody had read it that was reacting to, because I was almost being like racist. You might say I was like that, but what I am.
Well, no, I know what you're talking about. They had nothing to do with you, but this is so perceptive. Terry Gibbs freaked out. He freaked out about. I said something. About basically what we talked about in our first interview, and Terry wanted to give me this huge lecture about his version of jazz and how he disagreed that it was that it was a white art form and that Buddy Rich could swing his ass off. Like he kept pounding, and I just said, listen, I'm not here to. Terry, I said, if you want to do an interview about your career, that's great. You're not going to change my mind, man. I've done enough work on this, and he was so flustered. He was so worked up. He settled down. We did a great interview, but then he exploded again online. He just lost his shit. So there's a lot of pent-up anxiety and energy. It's just, to me, for you to see the purity, for you to, as a young musician, young male, like growing up, like to see that the mature, the Dizzy Gillespies, the James Moody's, those cats, the way they sort of handled themselves and integrated white people into their bands. That to me was the most. I mean, that was the hippest shit in the world, and it was pretty transparent shit, and that rubbed off on all you guys, and now we just have we lost a couple of generations, and now it's time to sort of not just pick up the pieces, but keep connecting those synapses as long as we're here because of the unpredictability of life, as you know.
Right. Well.
free association.
I still believe it. I just I wish I would like to see. I don't know why. It's like, but it is to my reality. It is. I just haven't seen any. I haven't seen Pete LaRocca. I haven't seen Philly Joe Jones and Elvin, Art Blakey. Max, Mickey Roker, I love Shelly Manne. I thought Shelly Manne was a magnificent player, and
it's just being able to.
Buddy Rich is like an incredible virtuoso. So is Dave Weckl a virtuoso, but. The thing that I hear is the thread running through all the first batch of drummers. I don't hear it. I just don't hear it. I never hear it anywhere. Now Lewis was beautiful, amazing big band drummer. He did that great. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something. I'm talking about deep swing where you just. I remember like. Bunch of us like listening to Coltrane and the old Birdland, which is right below my studio in 52nd of Broadway. It's in the same building.
Wow.
It's five.
That's cool.
Bob and I, my partner Bob and I, we used to go there as kids and do that. We would stand up. There'd be some moments where you have to stand up and start screaming like, "Whoa!" I can't take it anymore. You can't just. You got to jump up and move. It's so much fun. Wow. And like Coltrane. Coltrane and Elvin, like they break down, it'd just be Coltrane and Elvin, and they would build. And you would not say, no, Elvin's just playing, and Coltrane's playing. But all of a sudden, they both meet at the end of this explosion. They both intersect, they intersect in this one moment in time, and it just, that they went on a trip by themselves, and then they came back.
Oh my
they came back
God, that is so ridiculous. I mean, can you imagine that? I mean, it's like, where are they? Where are they in the song? I don't know. Do they know what they're doing? Well, boom! Yes, they do know what they're doing. They're right there, and they would just. It would be like unbelievable. And there were like 9 people in the club, right?
Right.
Transcendent, but you could take that transcendent spirit into every studio session you've ever done. You could take that seared into your memory bank, and I mean, it's just, I feel, Allan. My question is, on any project you're on, whether you're, whatever capacity, what are the leadership qualities that you believe are in this day and age? I mean, in this time that we're living in now.
Yeah.
What are the things that you consider to be good leadership qualities?
I would say, if you put yourself, let's see if I'm addressing exactly what you want me to. If you're in a position of, let's say, which is what I'm doing now, but doing producing mainly. I'm playing, of course. I invite myself to play on
Yeah,
anything.
sure.
But why not? Like, I'm first call. I'm first call with myself. So I've been a leader and I've been a producer and stuff like that. The quality that when you're working with other people, the best you could ever get out of them is what they do naturally. So you have to just encourage them to relax and just do naturally what they do. You could teach them tricks and stuff like that, but you might as well program it.
That's right.
Get a much better product, much better outcome if everybody is allowed to do what they really do, and you can't believe the difference. The difference between a band playing and one guy at a synthesizer playing is enormous. I mean, it's so much better when you have people contributing and they feel comfortable in contributing.
Could you use an example of where you sort of saw a need to sort of point things out and it really helped the session or salvage it? You don't have to mention.
I would. Nobody stopped me, and I thought I always was verbal when if I had an idea about something, and I had a lot of ideas, because I basically was a producer sitting at the drums, and I was able to hear things like, for the longest time, like an example is three guitar players on tape was a very common thing.
Right.
So what happens when you put a lead sheet in front of 3 guitar players? Nobody's playing rhythm. Nobody says, you know what? Except because there's one guy. There's one guy named Jerry Friedman. I don't know if you ever heard that name.
No.
Jerry Friedman's the guitar player. Jerry Friedman's legendary in New York.
No, I mean, there are so many dudes in that Bob Man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this group.
Jerry Friedman.
Jerry
Friedman was the guitar player on Benny King's "Your Love Is Like a Supernatural Thing."
Oh my God!
It is the most R&B swinging jazz. I don't know what you call it.
Oh,
it is
man, Jerry Friedman.
Nicky guitar, Jerry Friedman. Yeah, and he was just loved by every black guitarist in New York, because he had it. He had the real deal, and he would end up playing a part like he invented the single note guitar part, which was did it. That's what he would play through the song for a lot of the song, and everybody else was going and a little bit of a line, a jazz line, a rhythm, all over the place. Everybody was all over the place. He would try to find a seat. You sit down in a seat and be supportive to the song, and that's a leader that encourages that is I love working for certain producers like Bob Ezrin. I think I mentioned him in the first interview. Here's a guy.
I don't know. Tell me about. Say who is
you
this?
know the name Bob Ezrin?
No.
Okay, Bob Ezrin did The Wall, all the Pink Floyd records.
Wow.
He did Alice Cooper records. He made Kiss. Musical. And Alice Cooper.
Sure.
Of course, Alice Cooper. When none of those guys could play, Bob Ezrin could whip them into shape. So, I mean, leadership qualities. This guy, he stopped a session once, and the first time I ever worked for him. This is the days of money, budgets, and a lot of money in those days. This was for Alice Cooper. For an Alice Cooper record, I believe, or it could have been a Peter Gabriel. Could have been a track from Peter Gabriel. He stopped the session. He said, "Allan, come with me. I got to go across town. I'm going to play you something on my stereo." And that's all there was with records. It said, "Oh man!" And he did limo waiting outside. Session, "Oh guys, take an hour, okay? Get a bite to eat. Be right back." And
I love this. This is exactly what I need right now.
This guy gonna hit on me or something?
Yeah, right.
What's coming here? But we went to his apartment on a swanky pad on the Upper East, on the Midtown on the East Side. He opened the door, went right to his record player in those days, stereo.
Sure.
Put on a King Crimson record, and he says, "You hear these kind of drum fills? You hear what this guy's playing? That's what I want in that section."
Wow.
That kind of thing. Okay, got it? I said, "Yeah." Okay, let's go. I went 20 minutes plus back in the car, across town, and that was it. And like shit like that, man, is like it was beautiful.
Gold.
And you end up playing your part on there, and you get the credit for it. And people say, "Hey, nice part on that record." And if you're a mensch, you would say, "Well, who told me to play that?" Yeah.
But Allan, going back to what we were talking about earlier, this ability for you guys to able to measure your progress through actual, real, tangible results. There's nothing real today. Financially, it's all fake money. Everything is. There's nothing real. I feel like it's in some ways you were able to take those records. You got paid for those records. You had very intimate personal experiences with people on these records. That sort of that existence is that it's become why in your mind why in general why are we in paralysis as it relates to investing, taking chances, or even in the business? Nobody is willing to take a chance on anything. Why do you feel that's the way it is?
Well, I think the world is such a financial precarious place. People can, guys at record companies are just paid to say no. All they do is say no. No, don't hear it. Sorry. It's like nobody. They can't. It's nothing worse than saying, "Hey, I would go with this. I would put a bunch of money behind this," and it doesn't happen. Then you lose your job, and you're the guy that did that. I thought you were going to go in a slightly different direction. You were kind of like what you said before. It's kind of in my mind pointing to there's nothing. You said there's nothing real anymore. It's like there's not really a record anymore. It's like downloads. What the fuck is it download?
Well, no. For me, this doesn't. I mean, I'm a seeker, so I'm trying to look for that disco symphony that Schwartzberg's on from '79 in the Goodwill. Like, I'm going to find that because I still have that kind of setup. That guy brought you into his apartment to play the King Crimson album. That's my setup down there. One speaker works one day, two speakers work, Zoot Sims, all this stuff. But for the vast majority, and I know my daughters will be. I mean, it's the most sterile.
It's different now, man.
Yeah.
And I think you can't go. I think it's not going back. I'm not sure. You could remember it and bring it back in a new suit of clothes and maybe weave it into something nowadays. But whatever was.
What you're pointing to is financial stress and strain in the world. That just the money is not there to invest or take risks in any.
Exactly, it's not. You agree, right?
I can tell you this. What I was going to say before is that just by happenstance, a guy from Colorado who was down in Tucson, I met him at a studio. He had retired from Clear Channel after managing a couple hundred stations. And that was about the most connected guy that I have met in my journeys. And, he's a fan of mine. He really appreciates, he gets what I'm doing. And he sees, and he's just like, Jake, he's a good guy. He's like, everybody in life deserves a break. He's like, you worked your ass off, you deserve a break. So that was like, 8 months ago. I just interviewed Stanley Clark, sent him the email. He wrote back, he goes, Jake, Stanley Clark, way to go. He's like, I'm still looking to contact the national syndicator. I mean, he can't get anybody to even listen to this shit. It's crazy. There's no decisions because I have this niche now, but the mere fact, Alan, that it just hasn't totally lined up yet, man. But the point is that I know this cat has been trying, but there's no bites. If you're a known quantity, you'll get. You have a good reputation, you'll get it. But anything a little bit progressive, but that's where we live now, and I don't see it improving a lot in the near future either. I mean, I think with everything, when everything's a charade, when there's no justice, we are very big on charity and hope in this country,
right?
But we don't. There's no justice. Nobody really is. There's no follow through in our justice system, and so it's anemic, and so I don't want to necessarily go back. It's just the only way I know how to get enlightened is by having you guys articulate, what was then to promote it now. Except you can't put it in a box because the infrastructure is all gone, and even the idea of just walking into a jazz club and it's basically some upscale sort of thing. It's just I don't want to see this music. I want to see the music in a brothel or something. I don't want to see it. These
right.
you know what I'm saying? Come on, swing it, man. But it's but do you have? When was the last time you played? Do you play for for events and stuff once in a while?
I do. I do. I'll put together a quartet. I did a gig not too long ago with Warren Vacher.
The trumpet player. Trumpet player.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, great trumpet. Made a lot of good records on Concord.
Great. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
Warren's a great guy.
Wow.
And Bob played guitar, drums, and I played drums, and bass player named David Fink. And what it was it gave me an idea. It was very successful. It was a book signing party for Geraldo Rivera.
Another. Okay. This is so epic. I love this. Like next time this happens, like if I'm ever on the East Coast, get me a press pass for this. I have to cover this stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This is so great. Go ahead.
You know what it inspired me to think? It inspired me to think that everybody was loving it because it was scoring what was going on, yet it wasn't interfering, and yet it was making everybody feel good. You know, and every once in a while everybody would stop and listen. Maybe they didn't have to listen. They could feel it, you know, and it just felt good. So, you know, I've been trying to get these little gigs. First of all, what's better than that? You know, I mean,
that's so cool the way you just said that, though. That their ears are not trained to dance to it, or they don't have those, so they hear it and they feel it, and it feels good, and so the vibe is good. But they're not, you know.
Exactly. It enhances.
Yeah.
It enhances the vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. That's burning stuff. That's so freaking cool. I mean, that's just so cool.
Don't you love when everybody wins? Everybody wins. Like we get to play what we want to play, and you guys get to feel good. And there's even some money exchange.
No, what I'm saying is it's like David Grisman told me. He's like, you know, in order to have a band, you got to have a gig. I mean, you have to have a gig, you know, and that's the point. Is that it's a gig. You're getting paid, and you're getting paid pretty decently, and you're able to play that emotional music that you guys, you know, were crazy about.
Yeah.
You know, as we wrap up part 2 here with my dear buddy Allan Schwartzberg, Allan, I really don't know what else to say, man. Like I'm sort of floored. This album, White Lightning, Jimi Hendrix, and you're the drummer on the entire album. And I said, I cannot believe I need you. How did you meet Jimi?
Oh, I thought I told you that story. I didn't tell you that.
No. I mean, no. I kind of freaked out when I saw this album. I said, he's playing drums not on 2 he's playing drums on 8 out of 8 songs on White Lightning. I said, this, you know that album? It's a blue album.
Oh, actually, it's Midnight Lightning.
Thank you, Midnight Lightning. So that's right. Midnight, and it is.
Yeah, Midnight Lightning.
I had a. Just take it away. I mean, that story has not been vetted.
So I did tell you, right, that I was playing with Mose Allison.
No.
There's a club in New York in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s. It was called The Scene. And it was down below street level. And very cool, funky club. And I was playing with Mose Allison. And Bob Crenshaw was playing bass. That'd be a great interview for you too, Bob Crenshaw.
No, I interviewed Crenshaw. Crenshaw and I.
You did. Okay.
We went around and around for. It was being able to play Grant Green on live radio was pretty for Bob Crenshaw was pretty sweet. And the guy did you please tell me that you played Sesame Street with Joe Raposo and Crenshaw at all? Did you fill in on that at all?
No. Crenshaw had that was Crenshaw's gig, the Sesame Street gig.
I'll send you the I transcribed. He talked about that relationship or walking in there and seeing, you know, just the drummer and the bass player totally out of sync, and Raposo brought him in, and just immediately he's like, I locked that groove, and it was like for the next 30 years he locked the groove, you know.
Oh yeah.
No, anyway, so it was that was pretty smoking. Mose, you.
Well, yeah, and opposite us was this guy playing guitar with a kind of a Spanish, like mariachi hat, and long beads down to his knees, like beads around his neck, and really loud, really. And these are the days when all I cared about was being a jazz player. That's all I wanted to do. And I was working at the half note a lot and stuff like that. I just wanted to play bebop. And it was Jimi, it was Jimi Hendrix playing opposite us. He was playing a duo with a flutist named Jeremy Steig.
Sure.
I don't know if you know that.
Oh my God! Are you kidding me? All the Gene Perla,
Gene Perla.
Perla. I mean, Steig. I read his dad's books. They were my favorite books growing up. Sylvester and the Magic Pebble.
Oh yeah.
And great cartoonist for the New York. Yeah. So anyway, him and yeah. Okay. So
I'm not proud of this, man, but I'm just telling you it's the truth.
Sure.
It's the absolute truth. I was at the bar in between. They were about to go on, and we had just finished the set, and I got a tap on my shoulder. Turn around, and it's Jimi, and he said, "Man, it sounds great. We ought to get together and play sometime."
What year was this?
And like late 60s.
Like 67? 68?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, this is awesome.
And I said to him, yeah, sure. Yeah, okay, man. Pretty much, just not, may have conveyed that I have